I am so excited that two of my favourite people are on the line, all the way from Boulder in Colorado. I met them when I was in LA at an Institute for Integrative Nutrition conference. It was a bit crazy, a lot of Ellen-type dancing in the aisles, but we learnt a lot of good things too. And you two were my little people who you found me in the lobby. So thank you for deciding to join me on my vlog today.
Well, thank you for having us. We're so excited to be here.
No, I'm just excited to see you again, really. Any excuse. You're in Boulder because you're studying this time with the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, and I've been really interested in some of their Facebook updates. And I wanted to know a little bit more about what it is that you've been learning. I could just ask you what you've been learning, but that's not particularly my style. I'll get in with what I want to know. And that is, for example, we're on holidays up here in lovely Noosa, and which means being in bathers, for example. If someone is looking at themselves in the mirror in a bikini or a pair of bathers and they're not liking what they see, right, our culture and our psychology tells us to go on a diet. Like, that's just kind of the way we've grown up, right? But what I want to know is, has that expectation that diet is health, that thin is good, has that had any kind of negative impact on us, like with where we're at now? Go.
Absolutely. It has a negative impact on society. What it really is a toxic nutritional belief that has permeated our culture. Whoa. And it's really like a virus that's spread and is causing a lot of problems. Would you like to say anything on that?
It's absolutely has caused problems because if we just think of the way we can't love ourselves when we're never happy with ourselves.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
And until we get really comfortable and we love ourselves, we're not going to be able to really live a fulfilled life. And we're holding on, go ahead.
So that idea of, if I just lose these 5 kilos, then I'll look good in my bikinis is just negative self-talk, really, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
But what about...
And really...
Oh, sorry, go.
One of the concepts that we, our colleagues, and through our teachings is really that you need to love your body before you can release the weight or make any other changes in your body.
That is so hard to do. Where would someone start if they want to start loving themselves?
Well, I would start by...
some positive affirmations because we talk about self-love and you hear about self-love a lot in the health world. And it's something that I'm really just sort of starting to experiment with because my default position is to be hard on myself, really. Like, oh, well, you shouldn't have had that because that's not good for you, or, you could be eating so much healthier. It's just so hard to kind of take a step back and say, like, is it enough to just be like, well, you're doing your best? Is that a form of self-love?
Yeah, and one of the things I know that works for some people is something called mirror work. And what that is, some people get out of the shower or they're getting changed and they just don't ever look at themselves in the mirror because they don't want to face it, and that causes them stress or negative self-talk. Mm-hmm. So it's really getting comfortable. Over time, it's a process, it doesn't happen overnight, is getting in front of the mirror and really being positive about what you see so that you get this positivity going on in your body and you're losing that stress response, because the stress response is what's causing the cortisol, which is your stress hormone, to rise in your body, and that's causing you to hold fat and not release it, and it's also causing you not to build muscle. So it's something really important to move into that relaxation by having that self-love going on. It moves you into relaxation, and when you're in relaxation, you can burn fat and build muscle effectively.
That is so interesting. I didn't realize that stress had that type of impact on our weight.
has a really huge impact on weight. And that's a lot of what we've studied with the Institute for the Psychology of Eating.
So what would, oh, sorry, go Annalise.
I was just going to say the mind-body nutrition piece of the program is what is really teaching us about that stress response that Tara just talked about. And when we learn to let go of stress and learn to relax and eat slower, slow down, that's when we can just really kind of drop into our own bodies and start to get comfortable. And as we do that, that's when digestion speeds up, and as she said, we will burn more calories. Our metabolic rate goes up.
So have you?
It is very fascinating.
It is. It's really fascinating, but it's like with all these things, so much easier to learn about than to put in practice. Like I know, Tara, you've got 2 young kids. Annalise, you've got a grown family, but a growing business, and you've both got your own businesses. So have you been able to implement them and then also assist your clients and people that you talk to implement them? How hard is it?
Yeah, no, I think for me, the clients that I work with are clients that have a lot of weight to lose, so a good amount of weight. And for them, it's been super helpful because they're starting to lose the obsession that they have with food. So right now, people are they're stuck in their minds with food is bad, food is the enemy, and the guilt and all the shame that goes around that. So when I'm working with my clients, what I really do a lot of work around to start with is getting them to slow down, introducing the relaxation stress response and how that works, and letting it be okay. Like letting it be okay because I want to change their thinking so that it's okay that they eat the chocolate, but really just getting them to enjoy it. A lot of the work also, we incorporate adding more pleasure into your life, and the more pleasure you have, the more relaxed you're going to be. And again, as we move our bodies into that state of relaxation, it just brings, more happiness. And again, you're going to be better able to burn calories and lose the weight. And my clients are really seeing the difference in terms of releasing the hold that the weight has on them and food and eating. And I'll tell them to not worry so much about what it is they're eating rather than the how. And I don't know if you've read that, and you said that you've been following some of the blogs. But there's a lot of work around it's how we eat. It's not just what we eat, but it's how we are as eaters ourselves. And it's really powerful as clients start to feel that. And it makes it okay. And I'm not telling my clients to go binge and eat chocolate cake. But when they do, and you make it okay, it just really changes the power and the control that food has over them.
So, Annalise, to give a bit of background to people who don't know you, you've lost a lot of weight. You've gone through that process. When we met, you were definitely doing the calorie counting, calories in, calories out type of thing.
Yeah.
That's what helped you lose a lot of your weight. But if you were to have your time again, would you have done things differently? And do you bring that to your clients?
Yeah, that's interesting. No, I don't bring that to my clients at all. Excuse me. And a lot of them still will count calories or count the amount of calories that they burn, or they're counting. A lot of them are still counting. They're using FitnessPal or they're using something. I don't talk about it. Like, I don't ever ask them for that information. I don't encourage it. I don't ever ask them, how much weight did you lose this week? Because we're not looking at the scale. We're looking at all these other ways of measurement, whether it's how they're feeling, how their digestion is changing, just all of the other things that we can measure. Yeah. For myself personally, yes, I used the calories in, calories out, and that is how I lost my weight. And then I got overly, I don't think obsessed is the word, but I got extremely involved in triathlon. So I kind of moved from one thing, all the calorie counting and everything, to the next thing, which was excessive exercise. Did my Ironman last year in November, and I kind of, as that fell off, I started having to really incorporate all of the work because you can't count calories forever. It doesn't work. It's not sustainable. We all know that we can lose weight on a diet, whatever the diet is, we can follow a program. I can count calories. I can count points if it's Weight Watchers. I can do Nutrisystem or whatever and eat the food until I'm done, and then I have to go back to real life. And that's kind of where I got stuck, is after my Ironman event, was building my business and wasn't committing the time to exercise, so I actually put some weight back on, and now I'm really just trying to find this new way of balancing and making it all work again.
Yep.
If that makes sense. But I would never go back to the other way, because I could lose the weight there, but it's not life sustainable.
Yes.
And this new way is. I eat super healthy. I mean, it's all of the other pieces, and I'm happy, and it'll come off. Yeah. And I know that as the weight came back on, another thing that we learn in our course is that everything, whatever the ailment is, whether it's depression or low energy or it's the excess weight, that weight is here to teach us something. Mm-hmm. So earlier this summer, I really had a big awakening, and it was just kind of that, what is that weight here to teach us? And that's something else that we work with our clients on. I'll have them journal on what is that excess weight? Or what is that extra, the flab? I've got one client, she's lost 60 pounds, and she's just really frustrated that she still has, the belly fat. And so my last session with her, I had her journal, what is that belly fat here to teach you? And she came back all excited to tell me the things that she learned about her belly fat. And
what do you learn about your belly fat? What do you learn? I mean, why would it be there?
Well, is there anything about your body that you aren't in love with?
After having 2 children, yes. I would just have noticed that my ass has dropped and got wide. Like, what's that? I've changed in ways that I didn't expect to change. And so I'm trying to like this new me, this, putting photos up on Facebook and looking pregnant even when I'm not. So, yeah, I don't know what that's trying to teach me. Maybe it's teaching me that I need to move my body a bit more. So I've started yoga. Is that an answer?
And is there anything else? Like if you were to know?
I don't know. Maybe it's teaching me that people age and their bodies change. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a powerful exercise.
I have not even actually thought about what it might be teaching me. That's why I asked you. I'm like, I don't know, what's it? And because I'm sure that there are some people maybe potentially sitting there watching this that are like, well, what have I got to learn? I've just got to lose, So it's this sort of battle, I think, and I really do think it's this diet industry and that has built up that's kind of confused us about what health actually is even. I actually try to not think about my body too much and let it do what it needs to do. And I do try to accept it and then just quieten down that voice in the back of my head that's like, if I just put some spray tan on, I'd look 5 kilos thinner. People need to...
I work with a lot of clients that are like you and I, moms with children, very busy, and a lot of them, asking them about what is the message behind this weight. Often Annalise and I talk about it with our clients, that it's it can be stored energy, creativity, so more of a positive spin.
Okay.
And working with the clients I work with that are like you and I, young, busy moms, they often find they've sort of gotten lost in the daily activities of being a busy mom, and they're almost losing themselves in that. And really looking at, they'll look at their weight for what is it teaching me. A lot of it is that they're living in a chronic low-level stress. And the stress response, we talked about earlier, how it can be responsible for low metabolism and difficulty burning fat. And by being in that constant stress response, they're in that situation all the time. So they have a look at their life and just see how much of themselves they're putting out there, and they're not taking any time to nourish themselves. So often what I do with my clients is get them to look at where they find pleasure, get them to sort of inventory that for themselves and see make a list of everything, just from the simplest thing to going out for a coffee with a friend, all the way to vacations and everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
And then really taking a look, breaking it down into what little thing could you do every day for yourself for 5 minutes that you're not doing, that you do love and brings you pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
What could you be doing every week or every 2 weeks, once a month, or, semi-annually? And looking at these things, because by putting more pleasure, like Annalise mentioned earlier, into their lives and taking some time for self-care, any act of self-care will put you in a relaxation response, which is the state we want our body in. And so these little acts, they don't have to be long, they don't have to be big. I know we are very busy moms, and we don't always have time to get to yoga, even though it's so good for us, but just these small acts can really add up and really change our metabolic power and fill us up so that we're not filling ourselves with foods that may not be nourishing for us. And Annalise also mentioned slowing down with food, and by slowing down, we also put ourselves in the relaxation response, and at the same time, we get to experience the taste and the aroma of the food, so we are less likely to overeat. And it also really helps choosing foods that are more supportive for our body. Oftentimes, if you eat a food that's not so good for you, that, maybe say like a sugar cookie, that as a busy mom with kids, maybe we have around sometimes, and if you pop them in your mouth, you could probably have a few of them without even thinking about it. But if you eat those sugar cookies slowly, you're probably going to think, this isn't really that good. And I've had clients, even with that specific cookie, say that. And it just helps them move away from foods that aren't supporting them and towards ones that are, and also put them in a relaxation response when they're eating. So there's a lot of tools that we have picked out.
Yeah, I think one of the, our mentor, Mark David, who's the founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, he's written 2 books. One is called Nourishing Wisdom, and the other one is The Slow Down Diet. So if you've not read The Slow Down Diet, I would really highly encourage you to take a look at it, because he goes through the key principles. Either book is good, but The Slow Down Diet, it kind of splits it up into chapters where it's almost like you could do a chapter a week for 8 weeks to really get the principles and start incorporating them slowly.
And that's the thing, I think, with any of this stuff, is that we can hear it all, but unless we can take small bits at a time and implement them into our life in a way that, we don't even really notice, it's not this big, huge revolution in our lives. It's like, I'm just going to try that. I'm just going to try that when I'm eating those biscuits, to do it slowly. I'm just going to try that and see if it works. And
that's exactly what we encourage our clients to do, like an experiment. So like lifelong change could be overwhelming, and whatever we do with our clients, with all of these, sometimes it might not work for someone, whatever, there can be different suggestions, but to try it as an experiment for a week or 2, just to see how it feels in the body and if they notice changes. And that can be a really helpful way to approach making any changes.
I could just keep talking to you, but we're going to wrap it up with, I'm just going to ask each of you what is probably the most interesting thing that you've learned in this course that's maybe had an impact on your life, the way you eat or the way you think. So is that too hard to do? Have a try.
No.
Okay.
I'll go first.
Okay.
There's so much. One nugget just for me, that's about the stress response that sort of woke me up. Was that multitasking while eating puts your body in a stress response. Even if you're enjoying the moment, you could be watching TV, you could be checking your email on your phone, you could be, even just standing at the counter, chatting with your children. That is multitasking because you're standing and you're not sitting and eating. So really that we need to take the time to dine and push away all electronics and other distractions, and sort of as a reference for, does this really work? Other cultures like France and Italy, they really take time to dine. And I'm not suggesting that we as very busy people take 2 hours like they do, but culturally it makes sense they do that. It works.
Siesta.
Exactly. So we need a revolution. But, taking that and, really dedicating the time to dine is so valuable. And it also enables us, besides digesting, and it'll help us assimilate the nutrients better if we are busy multitasking and we're in a stress response. Like we said, you'll be storing fat, you won't build muscle, but you also will not get as much nutrition from your food. You'll actually excrete a lot of nutrition if you're in a stress response. So by being in that relaxed state, by eating without distractions as much as possible. That will really help make a big difference. Force you're getting your food. It will also take less energy. So there's just a huge amount of benefits. And I had never thought of that. I was always busy reading the newspaper or reading a book and thought, this is so pleasurable, enjoyable while you're eating. But at the same time, it is detracting from what that food can do for you. So it's worth taking the time to dedicate to eating to improve the benefits that you're getting.
Yeah, okay. All right, will do. Maybe I need to lock my children in another room and they can get dirty.
It's a practice.
And
so
throw food around their high chair on their own so I can just focus on my food.
Right. Sometimes it means that your husband has to get involved, and it maybe doesn't happen at every meal, but it's a practice. I
think that's
approach
really
that way. It does. There's no perfect, and it's something that you can incorporate, and also teach your kids as they're growing up that it can be a lifelong journey that they can take with them.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. Thank you, Tara.
You're welcome.
Okay, Annalise, what's the most interesting thing you've learned?
I think for me, the most interesting thing has been the letting go of judgment, loving myself, and that really has been the biggest thing. Compulsive eating and binge eating was something that I have struggled with before, and it continued to be. Even throughout the time I lost my weight, I had changed a lot of my habits and everything, in terms of what I was eating, and I was eating lots of healthy, but I had not yet given up the binging, and that was still something that I was afflicted with. And throughout the course and my journey through this course, I really learned a lot that helped me get through the binge eating, and I think that biggest piece of learning was just letting go, relaxing into, what was the binge here to teach me? Not that I ever really figured it out, but just knowing that it was okay to let be whatever was going to be. If the binge was going to happen, we and I've done this too. It's if you're going to binge and you're you can't stop yourself from doing it. It's just make it the best binge ever. Get highest quality and set up a beautiful area and just make it really perfect. So at times where I've still felt compelled to do maybe something that would be deemed to be bad or not as good, and I was going to go get junk food, you'll find me staring and reading ingredients and I want to make it the perfect binge. If I'm going to do it, it needs to be really good. And then when I do it, again, I just let go of all shame and guilt, and even then, I don't even enjoy it anymore. It's not the same, and I really have, for the first time ever in my life, let go of binge eating from the principles that I put into place, and the biggest one is just letting go of the control that is had over me.
Well, maybe it's because we want to do something bad, or we want to be bad, and so that's why we do it. I know I'm being naughty, but I deserve this. And so if you actually make it a pleasurable experience and something that you should enjoy, then that kind of aspect is taken out of it.
Yeah, for sure. And there was, with that, for a while I started thinking, okay, I'm starting to eat more sugar again. I had cut animal protein from my diet, and I was trying to cut it out because, whatever, experimenting, cutting it out and cutting it down. And then I started eating more sugar, and then I thought, by cutting out the animal protein, am I starting to binge more again? And I had put that together, so then I added the animal protein back in, but I just continued to practice these principles, and I'm still eating some seafood now, but I've cut that back out again, and I'm not having the same kind of binging. So, I don't know, it's all an experiment.
It's a journey, isn't it? It really is, because we've got these years and years of habits that have formed and expectations around food. And that's why I find this course so interesting, because it is about what's going on up here. If we all know that the more vegetables we eat, the better we feel, and all those sorts of things. But it's actually really sometimes hard to put those into practice. So thank you both. And I think
just one last thing, Lisa, I wanted to say, and I think this is important in the journey too, is that it's never about the weight. It's never about the food or the weight. It's always about what's going on underneath, and there's always deeper issues. And I don't mean issues as in bad stuff, but just there's always something deeper. The food and weight is just the doorway to whatever else is going on.
Mm-hmm.
So wise, Annalise.
Thank you.
You've really made, like, both of you have learnt so much, and it's so interesting to me. So I'm sure I'll probably speak to you on here again, and if people have questions, maybe they'll be able to pop it up under this blog post. And do you guys take virtual clients?
We do.
Yeah, we're both just doing telecoaching.
Yeah, right. So I'll put those details down in case anyone wants to speak to you. So just give a quick little 30-second what you do, how you work with people, so they know.
Sure. You mean in terms of how they can get a hold of us?
Yeah, or what clients you do. Like, what do you do when you work with someone?
Oh, yeah. I work with clients one-on-one on the phone.
Yep.
And because my clientele is generally people that have more than 30 pounds to lose, I am working in a 6-month program. Mm-hmm. So I work over the phone twice a month for the course of 6 months. And I can be gotten a hold of at awhealthcoach.com.
Okay, all right. I'll put those details on. Yep, go Tara.
All right. So I work with people that have less weight to lose.
Yes.
We're not in competition. I usually work with often busy moms, women who usually have about, I'd say, sometimes weight to lose. I have some clients with no weight to lose, but say 10 to 20 pounds, maybe 25 to lose, if that. And often they're coming to me more for energy. They're looking for more energy, more stable moods. Occasionally I've got some clients with depression. So they're really just looking for some more balance in their lives. And definitely want to make some changes in their diet, but also realize there's a lot of other factors, like we talked about, that are impacting their health, and just want help sort of stepping into, as I talked about, all those other factors that are going on in their lives that are keeping those busy moms from taking care of themselves. So they really are ready to put themselves front and center and would like some support around that. So that is what I do. And I also work with clients virtually and usually on a 3-month program. And they can get a hold of me at my website, and it's taraonmaui.com.
Lucky you on Maui.
Oh, yeah, listen to you.
Oh, I know, at Noosa.
I can't wait to come see you.
Come anytime. Thank goodness there's people like you out there in the world. I've loved this conversation, and I just know that people will have got something out of this. So hopefully we can do it again when you're on another one of your retreats in Boulder, Colorado. But take care of yourself.
We'll be back in a month.
Okay, well, we'll see you then. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks heaps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Lisa.